Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Bernie's little plan here to basically nationalize the internet, because that's what it comes down to. Okay, and you get CNBC here in an article published on December 6th trying to play this down a little bit, but we're actually going to go through and we're going to read the high-speed internet for all bullshit that Bernie's got here. And we're going to go through it. Now, I want to give you a heads up. It's, got a little bit of length to it, as you can see. So, yeah. We're going to go through that, but first I just want to read the beginning of this article, their little talking point, key point bullshit, in the very beginning of it, just so you can get an idea of how they're trying to play this. And then we're actually going to go look at what Bernie said. So, Bernie Sanders unveils plan to boost broadband access, break up internet and cable titans. It should be saying, Bernie is planning on taking over the internet through use of the government. He wants to control the internet. He wants to control the flow of information. And this is exactly what his plan will entail. He wants the government to be in charge of it. Bernie Sanders announces a plan to expand rural broadband internet access and break up giant internet service providers. But let's leave out the fact of, he's trying to take over the internet. The senator and 2020 presidential candidate's campaign criticizes companies such as Comcast, AT&T, and Verizon. Yeah, because they have more control of the internet than the commie little bastard does. The little commie bastard. I want to control the flow of information because I'm Bernie Sanders and you got to believe what I tell you. And the only way that's going to happen is if I control the internet. Because I'm going to tell you a line of shit. And if you have a free internet, you ain't going to be able to believe it. Because as far as I see, you'll be able to go out and see that I'm full of shit. And that's what he's afraid of. This is the left. He is no different than the rest of the left. He wants to control the internet. He wants to control the flow of information. He may not want to do it like the establishment, neo-lib, Democrats that he's in, they're on the stage with, like, say, the Biden types and shit like that, and the Pelosi's and Schiffs, but he still wants to control the internet. He is like the Ocasio-Cortez commie control. Yeah, so this is just sad. Several of Sanders' competitors, such as Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg, have also released plans to boost access to broadband. Now, he wants to take it over. Bernie Sanders unveiled a plan Friday to expand broadband internet access as part of a push to boost the economy and reduce corporate power over Americans. To boost the economy? Excuse me, the economy's doing fucking great right now. You get in office, you little bastard, and it's going to tank. Okay, and they try to go, well, they try to like this FDR shit and, the Green New Deal, comparing it to the original New Deal and all that. What people fail to realize when they romanticize this shit because, they're not taught the facts, the New Deal fucked the economy. The economy was recovering, and then FDR came in with his New Deal bullshit and caused the economy, when it was recovering, to hit the fucking toilet. And I apologize for my language. But hey, it'll probably keep me from, getting nailed as a kid's channel, even though I'm reading articles. Oh, gotta love COPPA. But yeah, it's so funny. Corporate power of Americans. He wants to, so as part of boosting the economy and reduce corporate power of Americans, he wants to reduce corporate power. But he wants to gain all of the power they lose. He wants control of it. That's what it comes down to. In his sprawling high-speed internet for all proposal, which, like I said, we're going to go through, the Vermont senator and Democratic presidential candidate calls to treat internet like a public utility. Yeah, because that's always ended well for things like, the telephone and, electricity and everything else. Because we've got electricity treated as a utility. Our electrical infrastructure is a joke. All right? Because Ma Bell was treated as a utility. Phone service was freaking ridiculous in cost. It wasn't until they deregulated that phone service got cheap because there was competition. Yet he wants to control the internet through the government. He wants to treat it like a utility. Yeah, well, that'll bring cheaper internet. I'm telling you, the government gets involved, it's cheaper internet. No, that's not how it works, Bernie. His campaign argues that the internet should not be a price gouging profit machine for companies such as Comcast, AT&T, and Verizon. So, wait a minute. They provide a service that people want, And he doesn't like that because it's not the government providing it. He wants everyone on the government's tit. He's disgusting. He's a vile little beady-eyed, shifty, shady little scumbag. I mean, he's talking about the poor, and he drives around in an Audi R8 V10. He's got millions of dollars. He's got multiple million-dollar homes. And he wants to talk about the plight of the poor. Give me a break, Bernie. Get bent, dude. You're a piece of shit. Sanders' plan would create $150 billion in grants and aid for local and state governments to build publicly owned broadband networks as part of the Green New Deal infrastructure initiative. See, this has nothing. This is about the Green New Deal. This is about Ocasio-Cortez's takeover bullshit. And I got to move the mic away. Yeah. I apologize for the mic being popping, and oh shit. I didn't even put my pop filter on. Let me do that real quick in the middle of this. I apologize. Okay. But yes, see. So yeah, basically, this is the Green New Deal at work. The total would mark a massive increase over current funding for broadband development initiatives. Yes, because the government stayed out of broadband development initiatives, which has led to things like Google Fiber. The proposal would also break up what the campaign calls internet service provider and cable monopolies, stop service providers from offering content, and end what it calls anti-competitive mergers. So basically, he wants to stop. All right, he wants to control everything. Basically, he wants it so that the government controls the internet, and he's going to control those providers so that they can't provide content. So basically, you're going to have a company like Comcast, okay? They produce content. I mean, it's NBC Universal. He's using this to then go and say, well, you got a choice. Be a cable provider or, sell you NBC Universal. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Comcast should be owning NBC Universal. But this is a complete bullshit way of trying to, break them up and gain more control here, Bernie, you commie little shit. It's pretty sad and disgusting how bad you are. Like, at trying to hide your motives, your true motives. I mean, JoJo the Idiot Circus Boy could see him. Sanders and his rivals for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination have pushed to boost high-speed internet access for rural and low-income Americans, saying it has become a necessity to succeed in school and business. Actually, that's complete horse shit. You do not need internet access to succeed in school and business. It doesn't hurt you to have it, but you don't need it. And if you really need access to the internet, you can go to the library where you could actually go and look in books for that information. Internet is not a fucking human right, but Bernie wants to try to claim it is so that he can take control of it through the use of the government. The self-proclaimed democratic socialist, you mean the commie who was hanging out in Soviet Russia back in the days of when you had to know someone or basically have something that the Soviets wanted, like, his political power and aspirations were something that they wanted access to? Huh, okay. Yeah, so we got Commie Bernie here, has unveiled numerous plans to root out corporate influence as he runs near the top of a jammed primary field. I mean, this is his statement here, and then we're going to go on. So, access to the internet is a necessity in today's economy, and it should be available for all. Translation, he thinks it's a human right. We are going to take on the greedy internet, telecom, and cable monopolies and put an end to their absurd price gouging, said Sanders in a statement. Yeah, okay, Bill. Okay, Bernie. Anyway, so let's get into Bernie's key points here. All right, high-speed internet for all. When Bernie Sanders is president, every American household will have affordable high-speed internet by the end of his first term. Complete bullshit. That is complete bullshit. This is the same bullshit they said about health insurance with Obamacare. All right? No different. The internet will be more expensive. We're talking about the days of Ma Bell. Okay? Shit's going to be way more expensive. Or they're going to force companies to do it at a loss. All right? Yeah, it's not going to be a good thing any which way. So let's look at the key points here. Provide $150 billion through the Green New Deal and infrastructure grants and technical assistance for municipalities and or states to build publicly owned and democratically controlled cooperative or open access broadband networks. Yeah, right. They're going to be publicly owned and democratically controlled. My hairy half French ass. They're going to be publicly owned and democratically controlled. You mean the government's going to own them and give the appearance that the public does, and ultimately a little commie bastard like you and your minions are going to be the ones that control it. Let's be honest here, Bernie, because you're a lying sack of shit. This is about a government takeover of the internet. Plain and simple. This is a commie, socialist, Ocasio-Cortez, Green New Deal, takeover. That's what it is. Call it what it is, you sleazy little bastard. Require that all internet service providers offer a basic internet plan that provides quality broadband speeds at an affordable price. Who dictates the affordable price? Is it going to be related to the market? Of course not. Break up internet service provider and cable monopolies, bar service providers from providing content, and unwind anti-competitive mergers. So basically, he doesn't want to see, these providers provide content. Internet providers providing content. Sounds like a good idea to me. So what if they have the infrastructure? Okay, why can't they give you content, serve you up content over that same infrastructure? They should be able to. Ensure broadband infrastructure is resilient to the effects of climate change. This one I found fucking hilarious, and I still laugh at it. The internet was... Oh my God, Bernie and his people are fucking idiots. The internet was literally designed to take nuclear Armageddon. I think nuclear fucking Armageddon, you dumb shit. I apologize for my language, but Bernie is a dumb shit. I think nuclear Armageddon is a hell of a lot worse than climate change. And it's designed to withstand nuclear freaking Armageddon. Dude, that just goes to show how clueless Bernie is and that this is a complete fucking sham. So the details. Today, high-speed internet is central to the basic functions of families, students, and businesses. Yeah. So what? Families? They don't need the internet. It's not a basic function of it. Students, it's not a basic function. You go to school, you have books. Okay, if you need to go look up something, go to a library. They have those books there that you don't have on the note of a textbook. They also have internet access. And businesses, they have internet access. They can get deals through, say, Comcast, for example. Small businesses often cannot exist without it. Yes, and it's not that expensive for them. You can go right now and get a business plan from Comcast. It's like $50 or $60 a month. So give me a break, Bernie. That's pretty friggin' cheap for business internet. But see, he doesn't get that. Access to healthcare often depends on it. How so? That's complete bullshit. Access to healthcare does not depend on the internet. Unless you're talking about these cheap insurance companies that try to skimp out by having someone, try to diagnose you over a friggin' voice call. A video call. That which is complete horse shit, because no one can diagnose someone without physically seeing them. That's not how it works. This isn't La La Land House where you get some chick in the Antarctic, okay? And she needs House to diagnose them. That's not how medicine works. But somehow you supposedly need the internet to get medical care these days. At least according to Bernie. Yet across the country, huge swaths of the population lack access to an internet connection or cannot afford the options available. Every part of this country has internet access at this point. It might not be broadband, some of it might be dial-up, but everyone has the internet. And I love this. Or cannot afford the options available. They got free fucking Obama phones. Every one of these motherfuckers that can't afford internet have a free Obama phone that has internet access. But we didn't remember that now, did we, Bernie? Because you want to conveniently forget that fact that all these people that you're worried about having internet access have internet access because of Obama giving them free fucking phones. Jesus Christ. Let's just take more control of the internet. Let's just take over, because you know what? The right is winning online. And Bernie knows it. This is about a takeover of the internet. This is about pushing the Green New Deal bullshit. This is Ocasio-Cortez undermining type of shit. Okay? This is the Justice Democrat crap. It really is. Millions lack any internet provider in the area, and tens of millions are trapped with only one option. That's bullshit. Pretty much every part of this country has an internet provider. Name one, Bernie. Oh, that's right. You can't. So you're going to talk out your ass. High prices keep internet out of reach of working families in both rural and urban areas. Excuse me. You can get from friggin' Comcast a basic friggin' internet plan for like 20 or 30 bucks a month. Another like $6 a month for like the cable modem rental. Less than 40 bucks a month. People can't afford 40 bucks a month if you really think they need internet. I'm telling you right now, if you can get a deal with Comcast for like 20, 30, 40 bucks a month, including modem rental, how much do you think the internet's going to be under Bernie's watch? It's going to be way more friggin' expensive, because every time they go in to regulate something like telecommunications, all right, good example, Ma Bell, it's way more expensive. The second you deregulate it, things get cheaper. That's been the historical result. Beyond telecommunications, too. High-speed internet service must be treated as the new electricity. Oh, yeah, treating electricity as utility worked out really well. A public utility that everyone deserves is a basic human right. Actually, if everyone deserved electricity as a basic human right, then electricity wouldn't cost you a goddamn thing. So sorry, not a human right, Bernie. But I say it's a human right. No, it's not. I say it's a human right. No, I don't care what you say, Bernie. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's not a human right. You have to pay for it. And getting online at home, at school, or at work shouldn't involve long waits, frustrating phone calls, and complex contracts and fees meant to trap and trick consumers. It should just work. Well, I hate to break it to you, but at school, almost every school in this country has a high-speed internet connection, has a broadband connection. They don't have dial-up, so they're not waiting. And at work, same thing. Businesses, any place where you have a business like that's going to need the internet, they're in an area where they have broadband. It works like that. And this idea of home, if you live in East Bumfuck and there's like no one around you for 100 miles, it's not financially feasible for a company to run a broadband line to your house. And this idea of frustrating phone calls, that's the nature of the beast with any business. You know, having to deal with those frustrating phone calls, dealing with problems with your internet, for example. And this idea of complex contracts and fees. In most cases, you're not under a contract. And this idea of fees. So what, you should get a free cable modem rental? You shouldn't have to pay for the lease on your cable modem? Yeah, I mean, this is such stupid shit. And then he goes, wait, trick consumers. If the consumer can't read the fucking agreement, they deserve to get tricked. That's on them. And this idea of it should just work, it does work. It ain't broke. The internet as we know it was developed by taxpayer-funded research using taxpayer-funded grants and taxpayer-funded labs. Bullshit! 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 Most of the internet, as we know it today, came as a result of the private sector. It wasn't the result of taxpayer-funded research, taxpayer-funded grants, and taxpayer-funded labs. Okay, maybe during the days of the ARPANET, okay, which everyone goes, oh, well, the ARPANET was the basis for the internet because, oh, that's what they're told or that's what they believe, which is complete bullshit. The NSFNet, the National Science Foundation, yes, there were some grants in that involved initially, but as the NSFNet, which is what became the internet, as it evolved, the private sector got involved. It was the private sector that developed that infrastructure. It was the private sector that paid for that infrastructure. They didn't do it with government subsidies. They didn't get grants, okay? They didn't have taxpayer-funded research. And a lot of the fucking internet today, you dumb shit, is built off of open source technology. As in, it was developed by the community for the community. It wasn't done with taxpayer-funded labs, taxpayer-funded grants, or taxpayer-funded research. It was done by the average Joe. Linux runs the majority of the internet. Not one red cent of government money went into its development. And it runs the internet. You gotta love this horse shit. This is revisionist history. Our tax dollars built the internet, and access to it should be a public good for all, not another price gouging profit machine for Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, even though they're the ones who built all the infrastructure or purchase the companies that built the fucking infrastructure. This is what's fucked up. He thinks he can push this shit and people will buy it, but we're talking about Bernie bros. They're not exactly the brightest fucking bulbs. Makes me wonder. You look at Bernie bros, they're these lazy neck-bearded shits, and is the neckbeard hiding the scars from when the umbilical cord was wrapped around their necks at that important time just as you come out of the womb? It has to make you wonder. Because they buy into this shit and they eat it up. Internet, telecom, and cable monopolies exploit their dominant market power to gouge consumers and lobby government at all levels to keep out competition. And they don't provide service to anyone who can't afford it, or install it in areas where it won't make them as much money as their shareholders demand. That's called business, Bernie. Why should you be able to force them to have to service an area where they're not going to even get enough money to cover the expense of doing it? That's not how business works, you commie little shit. He's disgusting. He really is. And this idea that they lobby to keep out competition. Really? Well, you know what? You can go and start an internet service provider, and under federal law, okay, Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, they all have to give you access to their networks and lease you space on their network, lease you bandwidth. And they have to do it at a below cost because of the federal government. So there is an ability to do competition. And a company can start out that way, start making some money, and then start putting in their own infrastructure. But, there's no competition. You don't want any competition, Bernie. You want the government to be the arbiter and controller of the internet. That's not freaking competition. And this idea of, and they don't provide service to anyone who can afford it? Well, of course not. You can't get electricity if you can't afford it. You can't get water if you can't afford it. You can't get, a car and insurance if you can't afford it. But if it was up to Bernie, you'd get all that shit for free. I mean, this guy is fucking ridiculous. Their greed must end. It's not greed. It's called business feasibility. They are in business to make money. They are in business to survive. They're not in business to provide internet charity. Verizon made more than $45 billion in profits over the last 2 years. And last year, their CEO took home more than $22 million in compensation. I love how they're bringing up this shit. The company's profitable. Oh, we can't have a company that's profitable. They should all be losing money, and they should be providing internet for free to people that vote for me, and I should be able to run their business on the note of what they provide for internet. So if someone pisses me off, I can tell them to just shut it down under federal regulation. That's exactly what's going on here. This is what the communists do. They take control of the flow of information, the flow of ideas. All right, this is what the left is trying to do in general. But Bernie, he's taking that step further. He's going the commie route, the Green New Deal route, which has nothing to do with the fucking environment. And has everything to do with a communist fucking takeover. And they go, we're not communists, we're socialists. No, you're fucking commies, okay? If Lenin was alive today, he'd be like, shit, you ain't got nothing on me, motherfucker. You people even fucking more whacked in the head than I am on that shit of, I deserve free shit. Again, I apologize for my language in this, but Comcast made more than $34 billion over the last 2 years and paid their CEO more than $35 million in 2018. So what? AT&T took $3 billion from Trump's tax cut. I love how they have to slip that in. Everyone got a tax cut and cut 23,000 jobs while their CEO pocketed $29 million last year. Now, in all honesty, the corruption in these big businesses with these corporations and the CEO fucking dickwagon with how much they get paid, it's gotten out of hand. Okay, CEOs used to get paid reasonable amounts of money. Now they get paid shit tons of money, even if their companies, they run the company into the ground. And I think that they should be paid their worth, but I don't think that you should be using this like Bernie is here to try to fucking push a bullshit narrative, because it doesn't work. With no incentive to innovate or invest, they're constantly, they're constantly innovating and investing. We're moving on to 5G right now, okay? And the intent is to provide broadband through 5G. Okay, they want Internet of Things, home internet, all that. They want 5G for that. You'll just have to put a broadband 5G modem in your home, hook up your network, and away you go. That's the intent. And he's trying to say, oh, well, there's no innovation. That's what they're trying to do right now. That sounds like innovating to me there, Bernie. Really sounds like innovation to me. But hey, doesn't work with your narrative now, does it? So, with no incentive to innovate or invest, these conglomerates charge sky-high internet prices to reap the profits from consumers, and they collect government subsidies to provide service to rural households while still leaving millions of Americans unconnected. What subsidies they get, okay, are in areas where it's not profitable. And they want them to go into even less areas that are profitable, and they want them to pay for it. Or I should say Bernie wants them to pay for it. This is some twisted shit. See, Bernie's a commie. He wants to control everything, but and being a commie, he doesn't want to use, the government's money. He wants them to pay for it. Typical commie. Typical commie little shitbag. It's time to take this critical 21st century utility out of the hands of monopolies and conglomerates and bring it to the people while creating good-paying union jobs at the same time. This is not a radical idea. Cities across the country deliver municipality-owned high-speed internet to their residents from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Lafayette, Louisiana. And you know what's funny is the internet's complete shit from what I understand. It ain't that great. But he's trying to use that as an example. And this, of course, got to have union jobs. He wants to fucking nationalize the internet, basically, and have these corporations, just puppets, like that the government's controlling. And he wants union jobs, good paying union jobs. So not only do I want to fuck them on their ability to run a business and be profitable, I want them to get bent over and fucked by the unions. This is exactly what he's fucking doing here. Oh my God. Oh, gotta bring up Franklin Delano Roosevelt here. Knew somewhere in here you had to know they were going to bring up FDR. President Franklin D. Roosevelt promised to deliver electricity to every home in America in 1935, at a time when 90% of rural households lacked it. 10 years later, his promise was largely fulfilled, transforming the standard of living of millions of Americans. Yes, and slight problem, Bernie. Even though FDR made that promise, it was the private sector that actually did it. It wasn't the federal fucking government. That's why pretty much every region of the country has a private power company that is a de facto monopoly, that is a de facto monopoly because of the federal government, because of this idea of a natural monopoly, which is the same exact thing they used for the telecommunications industry, aka Ma Bell back in the day. Oh my God. And now he's going to play off the feelings next. Farmers could finally refrigerate milk. Okay, how does that equate to the internet? You can't use the internet to refrigerate shit. Most people use the internet to go and surf porn. And on top of this, you got all these people who got free Obama phones with internet. So they're fine. They've got 4G. They've got internet on it. They don't need it in their home. They can't, if they're so poor they can't afford internet, how the fuck are they going to afford a computer? That's another thing. Oh, wait. Bernie will be like, well, now that we're talking about the internet, every American's going to get a computer. It's going to be a Bernie computer. It's going to have my face as a screensaver. Hell, I'm going to be the wallpaper, and you won't be able to change those things. That's what it's going to be down to, because he's going to be like, well, they don't have computers for that internet, so we got to give them computers now, too. It's literally what's going to happen. We already know how to provide affordable, high-speed internet, but conglomerates continue to monopolize the industry and provide the country with inadequate coverage and service. But they're providing affordable, high-speed internet. It just so happens that there are areas where it's not financially feasible for them, because you've got like one person every 100 square miles. The way he's talking, he wants East Buttfuck, Alaska, where there's like 2 people in 1,000 miles to have broadband internet. I'm sure that's what he's going to do. They're going to be running friggin' broadband internet to some fucking bear fucker in the middle of woods in Alaska because, Bernie says he's got to have internet. I say he's got to have internet. Bernie says you got to do it. That's what it's going to come down to. This is such funny shit. Bernie fought against this monopolization in 1996 when legislation passed into law that gave free rein to monopolize markets and gouge consumers. So basically what he's getting at is he was against the deregulation that allowed for the internet to become what it is, that allowed for the internet to grow and have all these people connected in this country. Now, mind you, not all of them have broadband, but if it wasn't for that deregulation in 1996 of the telecommunications industry, okay, and the internet being treated separately, we would not have the internet as we know it today. Fail to leave that out there, Bernie, don't you? And you were against that because, you know, being the boomer that you, actually, you're older than a boomer, but you're older than a boomer. So being even less clueless than a boomer on the technology, you didn't know what you were going against. The internet would not be where it was if we had your way back then. Enough is enough. When Bernie is president, maybe in Tim Pool's little demented world where he thinks Bernie is a populist because fucking unemployed, lazy shitbags are Bernie bros. Oh, God. Bernie ain't going to be president. But when Bernie is president, every American household will have affordable, high-speed internet by the end of this first term. Bullshit. It'll be more expensive. But that first term, it might be cheaper because they'll regulate it cheaper, but then the cost will get so bad that they'll have to raise the prices, yada, 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 or these companies will start going out of business or something like that. This investment will provide every community the internet they need for their homes, educational systems, small businesses, health clinics, and more. If a business is in like East Buttfuck, Alaska, supplying those two people, they don't need the internet. They just don't. Provide universal high-speed broadband internet for all. The geographic disparities of internet access are stark in rural communities. More than 31% of Americans still lack access to what the Trump FCC defines as broadband. I love this. The Trump FCC defines as broadband. Excuse me, but it was even worse under fucking Obama, you dumb shit. When Pichai, whatever his name is, Pichai, or I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. When he came in, he said, we got to raise those standards of what broadband is. And he did. Under Obama, the standards were lower, okay? And there was less broadband. What does that tell you? Democrats can't do shit? No, I'm kidding, because that was private sector, but you know, technologies have improved. I mean, now you've got these multi-channel DOS6 modems with broadband. I mean, I've got something like 500, 100 for like my download. Actually, no, it's more than that. I think I've got gigabit and like 300 or some shit like that upload. But yeah, I've got like the top tier Comcast. So, but yeah. And it's because they've improved the technologies. Oh, technology stagnated. Well, we've had new DOS standards go, and the speeds have constantly increased over copper cable. Okay? You've got gigabit fiber. You know, you've got the Google Fiber. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's stagnating. Doesn't seem like it to me. And then next, we got to, after throwing in Trump, we got to bring up this racist shit because the internet is racist, people. I forgot that was right after the Trump part. I've read this twice and I forgot this. This is so beautiful. They bring up Trump and then their Trump deranged bullshit. They instantly say that the internet's racist when an Indian or a Pakistani is the head of the FCC. It's so funny. In urban areas, low-income communities and communities of color disproportionately lack access to broadband, and millions more can't afford to subscribe to broadband services. No, but they got their Obama phone with 4G on it, which is considered broadband. They couldn't afford a phone. They couldn't afford the service for the phone. And as I said earlier, you now want to give them internet, and next you're going to want to give them a computer too, Bernie. Like I said, it's going to have my face as the screensaver, and it's also going to have me as the desktop background. I mean, Jesus, that's what you want, isn't it, Bernie? This is so freaking funny. The internet is racist, people. According to Bernie, the internet is racist because you get colored people, people of color, okay, being disproportionately lacking in access to broadband when they've got free Obama phones. The United States ranks just 10th and 22 in a comparison with European countries in broadband deployment. Which is not a valid comparison, Bernie, because you've got the United States all spread out. You got these areas in the middle of friggin' nowhere where you barely got people. Europe, you got all these people clustered together. It's a hell of a lot easier to deploy broadband. But see, you don't want to admit that. He's a sleazy little shit. The situation is even worse for under-resourced groups, communities of color, Native Americans, and other people with disabilities. Oh, yeah, again, got to push that internet as racist crap. And then watch, now we're going to attack white people. We're going to see actual fucking racism at play here. Okay, this goes to show the people writing this shit for Bernie are nothing but fucking racists who hate whites. White educated households are more likely to have broadband internet than households in communities of color. More than 80% of white households have home internet compared to only 70% of Latinos and only 68% of black households. Well, wah fucking wah fucking wah. That's not anything to do with race. That has nothing to do with skin color. But you want to make it about race. You want to make it so that the whites are racist. They've got internet when blacks and Latinos don't. When there's literally a 10% difference between Latinos and blacks. You're trying to make it sound like this is really fucking racist. And then you give these numbers that completely defeat and refute what you're trying to claim. Holy shit. 80% of white households have it, and only 70% of Latinos and 68% of blacks. Are you including the Obama phones in the Latino and blacks? How about the whites, too? Because, I mean, there are a few whites that did get the free Obama phone. Are you including that? Well, of course not. Which would raise the numbers. The FCC has reported that less than half of rural tribal areas have access to high-speed internet. Yes, because rural tribal areas have like 1 or 2 people every 100 or 200 miles. I mean, you're talking a huge area with people spread way out. You've got a lot of people that live on tribal lands living off on a huge, out in the middle of nowhere, even in comparison to the tribal lands themselves. I mean, give me a break. Roughly 1 in 4 people with disabilities say they do not use the internet, and people with disabilities are 20% less likely to have broadband. Oh my God. So now that's going to be part of Medicare for all. Oh, yep. We've got to give them free internet as part of Medicare for all. Medicare for all. If you're handicapped, we're going to give you free internet. You might not be able to roll yourself around. You might not be able to go places. But in your mind, you'll be able to travel anywhere in the world because you'll have internet because of me. You'll be able to go and look at Europe. And you'll be able to go, wow, and you'll be able to go and look at like Asia. And you'll go, wow. And you'll be able to go and look at me being a commie fucker in the Soviet Union. And I'll go, no, you can't do that. I mean, come on now. This is the game he's trying to play. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to say that people with disabilities that are on Medicare right now should get free internet, covered by Medicare. I'm surprised Bernie didn't try to propose that as Medicare for all. It's under the Green New Deal. We must end these disparities by connecting every household in America to high-speed internet, regardless of their income or zip code. So basically, he wants to give, you got free internet, and you got free internet, and you got free internet, and you're white male, you got to pay for your internet. That's what he's going to do, okay? He's trying to buy voters. He's trying to take control of the internet and then use it to condition these people. Bernie ain't stupid. He's a little commie shitbag, okay? And in all honesty, if you look at Yuri Bezmenov's videos like out on YouTube, I wouldn't be surprised if they compromised Bernie back in the day. Because they just don't back then, they just don't let people into the USSR. They didn't, I should say. You had to know somebody. You had to have something that they wanted to let you in. And Bernie had political aspirations. Municipalities across the country running their own interest services have provided that they can deliver high-quality services. I'm sorry. I have to reread this. This is just some funny shit. Municipalities across the country running their own internet services have provided that they can deliver high-quality service at a fraction of the price of established monopolies. That's bullshit. That's been proven completely bullshit. And they talk about these municipality broadbands. All it is Wi-Fi. And they put all these Wi-Fi repeaters out there. Okay? And the more people they connect, and if you get someone like, say you get, a G connection, like 2.5 gigahertz. All right? And someone connects with an old device that's got a B connection, because they can only go with that speed of that B connection, your internet's fucked. And the fact that it's worse than people have told me that have used these municipal systems that it's worse than like hotel Wi-Fi. And they're doing it cheaper. Cities can run their own networks just like a water or electricity utility, or build out an open access network to allow multiple providers to compete on a price and service, rather than one or two conglomerates gouging customers and setting up their own prices. So basically, the governments will only have control of the infrastructure, will run it, and you can sell space on it. How are they supposed to make any money? They're not going to be able to, and the government's still going to want their cut. And they're going to be like the mob about it. They're going to be like, I don't care, pay me. I don't care, pay me. When it's not going to be profitable. Bernie believes it's time to stop relying on profit-focused corporations to get universal broadband. Bernie will provide the necessary funding for states, cities, and co-ops to build out their own broadband networks and ensure all households are connected by the end of his first term. Bullshit. It's about control. It's about taking control of the internet. This is about the Green New Deal now trying to take over the freaking internet. As president, Bernie will deliver access to high-speed broadband internet to everyone in the United States by building out the necessarily resilient modern infrastructure. The current infrastructure is designed to take a nuclear Armageddon hitting it. What are you going to do to improve that, Bernie? Provide $150 billion through the Green New Deal and infrastructure grants and technical assistance for municipalities and or states to build publicly owned and democratically controlled cooperative open access broadband networks. That's a security fucking risk waiting to happen. Just wide open. And this thing that, they're going to be publicly owned and democratically controlled is complete bullshit. It'll be government owned and government controlled. And this idea that the Green New Deal is supposed to be about the environment, but yet we're talking about the internet here. The Green New Deal had nothing to do with the environment. Condition grants on strong labor, wage and sourcing standards to ensure that the federal funding goes towards creating good-paying union jobs. Because heaven forbid someone, not being a union, get a good-paying job. That should tell you that's a little fucked up, that they want compelled union jobs. If I want to go in and work for a company and don't want to be a part of the union, and I'm willing to get paid a little bit less because I'm not paying those ridiculous union dues, I'd still end up making more money because I'm not paying those stupid, ridiculous union dues. Ensure all funded projects cannot subcontract work to evade labor law through the Workplace Democracy Plan. Oh my God. So basically, they don't want someone like me as a private citizen or a small business owner, type would be, say if I'm in their shoes, going in there, bidding a fucking contract and doing it. It's got to be union jobs. How the hell is this about, making an open and free, freer internet when you can't even have someone come in and bid a job and do the job for cheaper and possibly do it faster and everything else than say the government could or a municipality could or whatever else? That's just messed up. Condition grants on universal service, provisioning minimum speeds, privacy standards, and affordability. That's just gobbledygook. Condition grants on universal service, doesn't mean shit. On provisioning minimum speed, still doesn't mean shit. Privacy standards and affordability. You claim about privacy standards, Bernie, but you want to take over the internet. That's not about privacy. That's about control. You're a sleazy little scumbag. You're a little fucking troll, dude. You're like a psychotic little troll. I'm a troll. I should be under a bridge. Seriously. Reform the Universal Service Fund and establish dedicated funding from general revenue from the existing programs, ending regressive contributions from providers are passed on consumers. That doesn't make any sense. Reform the Universal Service Fund and establish dedicated funding from general revenue to the existing programs, ending regressive contributions from providers that are passed on to consumers. So if they're getting contributions from providers that are passed on to consumers, so what they're basically saying is consumers shouldn't have to pay for the work being done or pay for anything else that's incurred as a cost. That's what it seems like. Establish a dedicated, accelerated last mile fund through the Department of Agriculture's Rural Utility Service to provide capital funding to connect all remote rural households and businesses and upgrade outdated technology and infrastructure, prioritizing funding for existing co-ops and small rural utilities. So basically, they're going to make a loser situation here, financial loser, and the government's going to have to pay for it. And hey, these people, they claim they don't have broadband internet access, but they leave out the one thing that says it's complete bullshit. Ever heard of satellite internet access? It's broadband, motherfucker. And you don't have to worry about living in those rural areas. And they have two-way communication. So it's not like you got to use a phone line to dial in and that's your send speed. It's got broadband two ways, buddy. So Bernie, I don't know what you're talking about here. They still have the ability to have broadband. Set aside $7.5 billion of this funding to expand high-speed broadband in Indian country and fully resource the FCC's Office of Native Affairs and Policy. Anyone notice the politically correct commie fucked up, or there's people fucked up here? Did anyone notice this? In Indian country. Excuse me, but Bernie, don't you want to be politically correct? Don't you mean Native American country? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I screwed up. Okay. I meant to say Native American country in this, or my people to say it. Fucking A. Get with the times, Bernie. I mean, you're the ones that are politically correct, and you got to say Native American instead of Indian. Because it says Office of Native Affairs. It's actually, I believe, still officially called the Office of Indian Affairs and Policy. But hey, whatever. You fuck up and call them Indians there, but you then fuck up on the agency's name because, like I said, I still believe it's the Office of Indian Affairs. I could be wrong, though. Preempt the 19 state laws largely written and lobbied by the internet service provider monopolies that limit or bar municipal and publicly owned broadband. So basically, if a state decides that they want to stop communities from taking taxpayer money that they've, are divvying out to these cities that could be spent on things like, fixing the potholes and shit, and stop them from using it to put in internet, you want to stop that, Bernie. Okay, but that really doesn't make any sense because here's the thing. If you're going to do this as a federal fucking program under the Green New Deal, this is moot anyways. This is just about taking more fucking control. Ensure all public housing provides free broadband services to residents. Oh my God. So if you're going to live in the fucking projects, you're going to be collecting fucking welfare and you're going to be collecting SNAP, okay, you might as well get free internet. Like I told you, Bernie wants free internet for people. He's trying to buy people's votes with broadband internet in the projects. Literally. He's trying to buy the project vote. The little commie Jew from Vermont thinks that he's going to buy the project vote by saying, I'll give you internet. Oh my God, that's funny. Well, Obama did get a lot of votes by giving people free phones from the projects, so yeah, I can see where he could see that. Ensure people with disabilities have full access to the internet. Yeah, basically free. Okay, so it's going to be part of Medicare for all. Good to know. Aggressively enforce the Americans with Disabilities Act to ensure the accessibility of internet, cloud-based applications, and internet-connected devices. Oh my God. That's a major overstep right there, because the Americans with Disabilities Act, all right, they're going to use that, or Bernie, I should say, is going to use that to not only force access to the internet for people that fall under the Americans with Disabilities Act. He's going to use it to regulate how devices are designed, built, and made, and everything else. Because if you look at this, cloud-based applications and internet-connected devices. So they're going to mandate, all right, that your internet-connected device have accessibility features for the handicapped. So much for making a product that the public actually wants, because there are products designed for, say, the disabled that allow them to have better access with a computer, or whatever. But now they're going to mandate it with like the devices themselves. This is so screwed up. So it's, instead of an add-on, your cell phone is going to have like stuff for like Stephen Hawking, if he has his way to be able to use it. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. Ensure full section of 508 compliance, including making sure government agencies can receive ASL video calls from deaf people. That's real easy. You have a camera in front of them, and then they finger the words. You don't need anything special for that. Skype works. Ratify the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Oh, got to slip in those lefty, got to sign in on the Convention of Persons with Disabilities thing. Oh, my God. They're going to ratify the convention on, oh my God, which is just more expansion into taking people's rights away. Develop regulations to expand the availability and quality of closed captioning and audio description on internet platforms. Because, hell, it isn't good enough that YouTube has the ability to, close caption everything and use AI to understand what I'm saying right now and do a closed caption for it. That ain't good enough. Reinforce and expand the national and state equipment distribution programs for people with disabilities. Oh my God. So you want to add it so that more people, I got to hang now. Oh, you're disabled? Okay, well, you get a free phone. That's kind of what's going to happen with that. Reinforce and expand the availability and quality of accessible modern telecom services to ensure everyone who needs these services receives them. Which basically they want everyone to receive it because they think that internet is a human right. But, the right to self-protection, no, not a human right. You shouldn't be able to have firearms to protect yourself. Oh, free speech, oh, that's not a human right. Because, what you might say might hurt someone's feelings. That's hate speech. But internet, that's a human right. Fucking ridiculous shit. Expand the E-rate and rural health support programs to ensure all schools, libraries, hospitals, and other essential community facilities are connected equitably and affordably. So I don't understand how rural health support has anything to do with schools, libraries, or anything like that. Number one. Number two, a hospital. See, this is what's funny is hospitals are for-profit entities for the most part. You might have a municipality-run charity hospital or something, but even then they try to be profitable because they want to take that money and deal with the charity cases. So they want to be able to be profitable on that note and not be in the red. But hospitals are going to have broadband. They're going to have satellite. If they're in a rural area, they're going to have satellite broadband. Libraries, they could do the same thing. See, this is what's funny is they try to make it sound like, they don't have internet access. You can actually get, for what it is, and, the technology involved, you can get reasonable internet, broadband internet via satellite. But they want to leave that out. And that would solve the problem right there of connectivity because you just slap a dish on. And this idea of equitably and affordably. Who defines that? Who decides it? Anyway, provide dedicated funding to ensure these facilities on tribal lands are connected. Again, just slap a satellite dish on the roof, problem solved. Dramatically lower costs. Yeah, right. Because when a government takeover of an industry has happened, the prices have always gone down, right? Oh, wait a minute. No, they haven't. The problem goes beyond a lack of basic access to internet services. Access to high-speed internet means nothing if you cannot afford the bill. Microsoft found an estimated 163 million people in this country might not currently use the internet at minimum broadband speeds. That is because the internet in this country costs too damn much. No, that's not why it is. It's because you have areas where it's really, really fucking rural. And that's your biggest contributing factor. And because it is really, really freaking rural, you don't have broadband there. And even in areas where it's not necessarily really freaking rural, you have a type of situation where you might not have broadband. A good example is I've lived in the South. And where I lived in the South, okay, I was literally 1 mile as the crow flies. We're talking literally a mile. I was actually just under a mile from, even though I was in the city, I was outside the city limits. I mean, and we're talking like an urban sprawl southern city. I mean, you know, you're outside the city limits. It's really fucking rural. I mean, cow patties and you know, pasture, you know, cow patty pasture, you know, well, I should say pastures filled with cow patties and, you know, farmland and crops and shit like that. I was 1 mile as the crow flies. Like I said, less actually. And I couldn't get cable broadband. By the standards of when I lived down there, it was broadband, but it was just barely broadband. It was, yeah, I mean, I came from New England and Comcast, and basically it was like, you want me to have what? And then I find out after they agreed, they went, oh, we're sorry, but you're 1 mile, you're outside the city limits. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, no. I said, I'm like less than a mile. They said, well, we don't have the infrastructure. I said, wait a minute, you can offer me the same exact cable plan with the channels and everything else that I could get within the city limits, which means you have the same infrastructure, but I can't get the cable modem. And they're like, yeah. So I ended up going with SBC Ma Bell, you know, wannabe Ma Bell AT&T. You know, SBC bought them out and you switch names. You got to love it when a Baby Bell, you know, pulls a Buffalo Bob or whatever you want to call him there and puts the lotion on and then wears the skin as a AT&T suit. But and I had a DSL line and it sucked. But DSL is still better than dial-up. And a lot of places have DSL. And DSL has gotten faster since I've had it. But it's still not considered broadband. And a lot of places have DSL as an option. It's not quite broadband, but it's still pretty freaking fast comparatively. So they want people to have like, you know, 10 megabit, 100 megabit. It don't work like that. And you know what's sad is people with speed like that, they're just going to fucking download movies and shit. They can't afford internet. They can't afford to go to the movies. There's going to be piracy running rampant on government subsidized pipes. Oh, you got to love the irony. And this assumption that it costs too much. It's because of geolocation and shit like that. American consumers who are connected are forced to pay more for less. Not necessarily true. See, this is just assumptions. This is like the idea of, well, if you compare U.S. healthcare to Cuban healthcare, the Cubans are more satisfied with their healthcare. Because they were asked a stupid fucking question that only allowed for, you know, a situation where you would have, oh, well, are you satisfied with your healthcare? Well, the only thing they know is waiting in line 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day to go see a doctor for the sniffles. So, yeah, if that's what they're used to and they say they're satisfied, of course they're going to be, you know, you got a lot of them that say it's satisfied. Of course they're going to be more satisfied than supposedly Americans who are whiny, entitled wannabes who think that they deserve what the fuck ever they want. I mean, come on now. That's the type of shit going on. The United States ranks 10th of 28 countries in average broadband speeds and 18th out of 23 countries in fixed broadband prices, charging double the price of many peer countries. All right, so from the FCC, all right, so International Broadband Data Report, bring this up. I'm sure if you actually look at it, I'll have to look at it, might do another video, but I bet you it doesn't exactly say that, and I'm sure it's the same exact thing. Okay, but I'm sure it doesn't exactly say that. But anyway, only 54% of households with incomes below $20,000 have home internet, compared to nearly 90% of households with incomes above $100,000. Okay, well, someone who's making $20,000 a year has an Obama phone. Most likely. They got internet. Shut the fuck up. But even if they don't, they can't afford it. You want them to have internet regardless of it not being a necessity. And you go, well, 90% of households with over 100 grand have it. That's because it's not a necessity and they can afford it. Even if you made it, which you can get a $30 broadband plan from freaking Comcast. If you can't afford $30 a month, all right, then you shouldn't have internet, because that $30 a month should be going to feed your sorry ass or help to feed your kids' sorry ass so someone else doesn't have to do it for you. Affordability and digital literacy are major barriers to internet usage for low-income households and seniors. Excuse me? Every senior I know has fucking internet. They might have dial-up, but a large number of them, almost the majority, have broadband. And the most they can do is they think that typing into the search tab on the browser window that opens up is where you enter in your URL. They still manage to get online. Okay, tablets are an old person's friend. They managed to get online, but yet old people, they're digital literacy, they're stupid. They can't get online, but it's also not affordable. Are you kidding me? The internet was invented in America. We should be the world leader in providing fast, affordable service. We must also invest in digital adoption and literacy, ensuring when affordable service is provided, all can fully utilize the benefits of a government-controlled internet that's going to try to brainwash you, and it's going to be used to censor you, and it's going to be used to do all these things that you're not going to want in the long run. That's exactly what he's going to do. This is about an internet takeover. Plain and simple. Large internet service providers have enjoyed government funding, protection from competition, and light regulation while gouging customers with some of the highest prices for service in the world. And I love this service from the world for the world shit. Because in a lot of cases, it's not apples to apples comparisons. Okay? They got caught when they tried to say before the left that, with this whole internet thing. I think it was Bernie actually, pulling the shit with the internet. They were comparing non-unlimited plans with unlimited internet in the U.S. and going, well, see, it's cheaper there. Well, yeah, you're only getting 500 megabits of download. Here you're getting unlimited, but it's cheaper. That's not how it works, Bernie. You're getting unlimited here for a little more money, but it's cheaper there. And it was like a broken fucking record. People tried to explain it to him. Yes, it was Bernie, actually. And people were trying to explain it to him, and he kept going, but it's cheaper, but it's cheaper. And it's like, no, it's not, you dumb shit. That's not unlimited internet. I guess we're having more of that again. Oh, God, this is some funny shit. This really is some funny shit. Large internet service providers have enjoyed government funding, protection from competition, and light regulation. I love that. I mean, the light regulation that's allowed for the internet to expand the way it was, but okay. Bernie will regulate these providers like a utility. Oh, so basically he's going to give them more power and control, because that's what happens with every utility regulation. Everything that's regulated as a utility, I should say, here in the United States. The FCC will review prices and regulate rates where necessary, ensuring areas without competition aren't able to run up prices. Huh? So he wants the FCC to review prices and regulate rates where necessary, and ensure areas without competition aren't able to run up prices. So basically, if I go and I spend a shit ton of money to give, rural buttfuck Iowa, where you've got 3 people every 100 miles. All right, if I go to give those 3 people internet, and I'm the only provider, I can't charge them a premium now? Who the fuck do you think you are, Bernie? If I go and I shell out the cash to do that, I should be able to pay, charge them more money than I would someone else in a developed area where I only had to do the bare minimal of running them, the cabling necessary, whether it's fiber optic or whether it's copper or whatever the case may be. If I had to invest in that and it cost me less to do it someplace else where it's there's a shit ton of people and it costs me more in a rural area, I should be able to charge a higher price for those people to have access to that in that rural area. It only makes fucking sense. That's how business works, because there has to be some sort of incentive for me to do that. That's capitalism, baby. Oh, wait, you're a commie. I forgot about that. Oh, I'm not a commie. I'm a democratic socialist. No, Bernie, you're a commie, okay? You were partying with commies in Moscow, praising communism. Shut the fuck up. You're a commie. And this is an example of a commie takeover of the internet, or an attempted one. It seriously is. We will also require providers to offer a basic plan for a regulated rate to all customers, ensuring everyone will be able to affordably connect to the internet. But you're talking about giving it away to free to a shit ton of people too. Anyway. Yeah, we're already over an hour here. I got to get through this quickly. As president, Bernie will require that all internet service providers offer a basic internet plan that provides quality broadband speeds at affordable prices. Didn't you just say that? Oh, that's right, you did. You got to reiterate that, though. Got to beat it into people's heads. Increase the FCC definition of minimum broadband speeds to 100 megabits download speed, 10 megabits upload speed. I think Trump's guy did that already, but all right. Use broadband categorical eligibility. Those who qualify for SNAP, Medicaid, TANF, and other assistance programs to fully subsidize the monthly plan for low-income households. Like I said, Medicare for all. Medicare for all, baby. You get free food stamps, you get free internet. TANF, you get free internet. Fucking Medicare for all. If you get fucking Medicare, you get free internet. How the fucking... in like normal world, not La La Land, does that make any sense? Same with SNAP. We're going to give you food stamps, and while we're at it, we're going to give you free internet. Makes no sense. Instruct the FCC to regulate broadband internet rates so households and small businesses are connected affordably. So basically, they're talking about regulating prices, and the funny thing is that's what led to AT&T, Ma Bell, charging an arm and fucking leg. The prices were regulated to where they could do that. I don't trust you, Bernie. Sorry, buddy. Eliminate data caps and ban throttling. Well, first off, data caps and throttling, if you're going to pay $10 a month for broadband internet on your fucking cell phone, there's going to be limitations like data caps, or once you hit a certain point, they're going to throttle your bandwidth. Shit ain't free. Protect and expand the Lifeline program to connect low-income households to the internet. Oh, my God. Yep. Free household, free. If you're on welfare, collecting free shit, you're getting free internet. Provide $500 million a year for digital inclusiveness, which is funny because basically what Bernie's trying to do here is he's trying to buy these fucking, degenerate wealth, perpetual welfare collectors, the ones that live on Section 8 housing or the projects or whatever else. He's trying to buy their vote with internet right now. Obama did it with a phone. Now he's trying to do it with internet. And at the same time, he's trying to use it as a means to do a takeover of the internet. This is some twisted shit. Provide $500 million a year for digital inclusiveness. Oh, God. Digital inclusiveness. We know that's going to be more towards the LGBTQ AEIOU, but let's see what they say it's for. Grants will be distributed to schools, libraries, community centers, senior centers, and other community-based programs to promote digital literacy, adoption, and inclusivity. AKA the LGBTQ AEIOU, 75 fucking genders, and everything else that the left is pushing. You're going to be fucking brainwashed into buying into the inclusivity under the new program. That's what they're getting at here. They're going to take government money and they're going to use it as an indoctrination into this inclusivity fucking leftist cultural Marxist crap. I told you, it's a takeover. This is why I'm reading this to you. And I know I'm over at an hour here. And anyone who's lasted this long, this is the type of shit you need to see. This is the stuff that Bernie's going to try. He's literally trying to take over the internet to use it to fucking program people into buying into the cultural Marxist crap. Oh, God. Break up and regulate internet and cable monopolies. Telecom and cable monopolies exploit their dominant market power to gouge consumers and lobby governments at levels to keep lobby governments at all levels to keep out competition. Okay. And here you are giving them the way to do it by turning it into a fucking utility, you dumb shit. Either we've got Bernie, who's the dumbest fucking commie on the planet, or he's a sleazy, shady, shifty person, and he has a clue. Because what he doesn't understand is Regulation is how these companies fucking do the shit that he's talking about. And what does he want to do? He wants to regulate the shit out of the internet. Yeah. Well, I got a feeling his little internet thing is going to end up like Obamacare. It's going to be written by the same fucking providers as, like, you know, with Obamacare, the insurance providers wrote the fucking thing or were involved in it. I should say certain ones were. And you look at them today, their competition is gone in the states that they operate in. They're the only ones surviving. Just how convenient is that? Just 4 companies control nearly 2/3 of the entire market. Okay, so we've got Verizon, which they have Fios, and I'm sure they're including their mobile. You've got Comcast, which I'm sure they're including their mobile. You've got AT&T, which sure as shit they're including their mobile, because they don't have as big of a market as one would think, the way they're talking here, on the note of, say, providing broadband service, say, in the home or whatever. But okay, yeah. They don't want to tell you that. Prices are as much as 25% higher than they would be in a competitive broadband market. Oh, God. Which is from one of those fucking lefty fucking think tanks, Washington Center for Equitable Growth. I'm sure that's why. Why antitrust enforcement and regulatory oversight in digital communications matter. Okay, you see, they wanted to use this type of shit to control the internet, but they don't want to use the same thing of antitrust enforcement or enforcement of existing laws to stop the, you know, censorship or anything like that, which just goes to show how screwed they are. But they want to say, oh yeah, if the internet's cheaper, oh God. So 25% more in a competitive broadband market. It's so sad. They have no actual proof of that. It's just some blatant ass guessing, but all right. Large ISP monopolies report inaccurate or overstated coverage information, obscure their prices, and often don't deliver promised speeds. Okay, first off, they don't overstate their coverage information. If they say that you're part, because they're talking about mobile phones here, obviously. All right. Your reception depends on the phone. But when it comes to your home internet, if they say you're in the coverage area, you're in the fucking coverage area. That's how it works. Holy shit. Large ISP monopolies report inaccurate and overstated coverage information. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's complete bullshit. This is such bullshit. They literally lie through their ass. They use these lefty think tanks and shit like that. And they go, see, what was telling you is true. It doesn't work like that. And this idea of obscuring their prices, they tell you how much it is. People don't look at the fine fucking print. They don't go, okay, all right, well, I'm paying $35 a month for internet. Well, shit, what's this $8 lease fee for my modem? Well, you wouldn't have to pay that if you bought your own fucking modem. That's not obscure pricing. And they do. All right, and this idea of they don't deliver their promised speeds. Those are ideal speeds. They're not guaranteed speeds. All right? I live in an area where there is a saturation with broadband. I mean, I'm in a pretty saturated area with Comcast. And I still reach my theoretical limits. It depends how busy it is, but I can still do it. I mean, if you've got everyone in the area online, you're not going to quite get your speed, but that's like that with anything internet related. Okay, you go and use your phone. 4G. If it's busy, you're in a busy area, there's a lot of people. Okay, like a concert, people have, will say that their shit crawls because it does, because you've got all these people connected to the internet through that connection. That's how it works, Bernie. That's why you don't have these quote unquote promised speeds. They're not promised. They're theoretical. They say with an asterisk, you can reach these speeds. They don't say you're guaranteed them. Bernie foresaw what deregulation and consolidation of cable giants would do to consumers. He was one of just a handful of Congress members to vote against the 1996 Telecommunications Act, arguing against the bill on the House floor. Oh my God. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 still regulates the fucking internet. Oh, it was deregulated. No, that was actually regulation of the internet. It was not deregulation. It was regulation. Because there was none prior. Mr. Chairman, this telecommunication bill cripples consumer protections and should be soundly rejected. It is being touted let me do this in my Bernie voice. Mr. Chairman, this telecommunications bill cripples consumer protections and should be soundly rejected. It is being touted as pro-consumer, when in reality, it will cause inflated rates and will limit consumer choice. It is touted as pro-competition when it actually promotes mergers and the concentration of power. Wrong. It actually made it so that people could come into an area and multiple providers could provide internet. And what happened after the Telecommunications Act of 1996? You had, when it was dial-up, you would have 20 fucking providers or more offering you internet in your friggin' area. That's exactly what it did. That's what exactly it created. But hey, that was even with the regulation. And another reason why he doesn't like the Telecommunications Act of 1996, I'm sure, is the Communications Decency Act is an extension of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, which the Telecommunications Act of 1996 is an extension of the Telecommunications Act of, was it 34 or was it 32? But it was under FDR. And what he doesn't want to admit is when that was put into play, it created the natural monopoly thing and allowed AT&T to charge an arm and fucking leg. So yeah. Excuse me if I don't want this, Bernie. And it actually was pro-competition, but hey, we'll leave that out. This legislation set the groundwork for the light touch regulation and monopolization of the broadband market that we see today. We will break these monopolies up and closely regulate them to ensure that they are providing consumers with acceptable service and eliminate hidden fees, surprise bills, and other consumer gouging practices. There's no consumer gouging practices. There's no hidden fees. There's no surprise bills. You get internet access. You're paying a set amount a month. You're paying taxes, and you're paying for a fucking modem fee if you got broadband, like cable. There's no surprise bills. There's no gouging practices. Anyway, as president, Bernie will use existing antitrust authority to break up internet service provider and cable monopolies, bar service providers from also providing content, and unwind anti-competitive vertical conglomerates. So basically, he doesn't want it so that, even though the consumers want it, they can't provide content to consumers. I mean, to me, that's just basically trying to prop up the legacy media. Because even though they own legacy media outlets and stuff, this is about propping up the legacy media. Because if an internet service provider can offer you content, why are you going to get TV? They don't want them to have that ability and be able to offer more services to their customers. Classify broadband providers as common carriers under Title II and reinstate net neutrality regulations. Oh, yes. Net neutrality, about gaining more control. You're worried about these supposed internet providers, but you won't regulate, you won't go after them, the like Google and Facebook and all them for censorship. But supposedly the internet providers are going to do the censorship. Okay. Work with Congress to codify net neutrality protections into law to prevent a future FCC from repealing them once again. So basically, he doesn't want the FCC to take regulations that are complete horseshit and get rid of them. Appoint members of the FCC who will use Title II authority to promote competition, choice, and affordability for broadband service. So basically, he wants to put an FCC czar in that's going to run the show, and it's going to do everything that Bernie wants. Require price transparency, advertise speed accuracy, and granular service for service data for large private broadband providers, which is a slight problem. You cannot have speed accuracy because the speed of the network depends on how many people are using it at a given time. So they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to meet this fucking bullshit standard. Eliminate hidden fees, including surprise billing, and require internet and cable providers to clearly state the cost of service, ban unexpected rate increases, and end service termination fees. If you have a contract, if you sign a contract to get cheaper fucking internet, and there's a fee, you should have read the fine print. Sorry, but that's how it works. Conduct a national broadband census and create a comprehensive, accurate broadband map of access, speeds, and prices. Oh my God. It's just such horseshit. What is that going to do? Absolutely nothing. Reinstate and expand privacy protection rules and work with privacy experts, racial justice activists, and other stakeholders to develop and pass a digital privacy bill of rights into law. So racial justice activists. Okay, so basically this right here, this section right here is basically saying that if someone decides, like with these racial justice activists, that someone has said hate speech, they're going to be silenced. That's what's going to happen right there. That's exactly what they're saying there. Even though they're calling it a digital privacy bill of rights. This is why I'm reading this to you people. Reverse the Trump FCC anti-union, one-touch, make-ready policy and work with unions to replace it with regulations that allow for new providers to attach to utility poles while respecting the rights of union workers and ensuring workplace safety. So basically, this is going to kill any competition because a company just starting out can't deal with paying someone, union fucking wages. Oh, we're going to have competition, but I'm going to do everything that's going to hinder the competition. Fucking idiot. We're almost through here, people. Look, and I apologize. We're at a minute 20 or minute 21 right now. I apologize. Our outdated and dangerous national infrastructure build resilient communications networks. This is what's funny. They throw this in at the end. Our outdated and dangerous national infrastructure is not ready to withstand impacts like floods, hurricanes, or wildfires. What the fuck are you talking about? When it comes to the internet, assholes, it was designed to take a nuclear fucking bomb. Okay? I think nuclear Armageddon is worse than floods and hurricanes and wildfires. You idiots. Oh my God. When extreme weather events hit, communities can be left without life-saving communications tools and information they need. Yeah. Okay. And I love how they bring up a territory. Their prime example is a territory of the United States that's not actually the United States, that is, for the most part, self-governed. Okay? And they want to blame this on the United States. This is on them. In 2017, Hurricane Irma left over 1 million people in Puerto Rico without power. A mere 2 weeks later, Hurricane Maria destroyed the island's infrastructure and left over 3 million inhabitants without power, without communications networks. Maria knocked down 85% of the above-ground telephone and internet cables and left nearly 96% of cell sites without service. Yeah, and the corrupted government there still hasn't fixed shit. And you think the government's going to solve our problems? Good job, Bernie. The island's damaged communications infrastructure left many without access to life-saving information. Reports have shown that Puerto Rico's damaged communications infrastructure contributed to the staggering death toll. Not necessarily true. I think the hurricane had a big friggin' say in that. Or hurricanes. Today, the island's communications infrastructure has yet to be fully repaired as a direct result of this administration's apathy and cruelty. Bullshit. It is up to them. They were given the means to fucking fix it, Bernie. You lying sack of dishonest crap. Whoever wrote this for you is the same thing. A lying, dishonest sack of crap. Okay? That's on the island's government to deal with. That's not Trump's fucking problem. He said, here's the money. Fix it. And you know what most of them did? They pocketed the fucking money, Bernie. Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you admit that's why this shit ain't done? Because you got so much corruption in Puerto Rico that these people don't even have the basic fucking necessities at this point. Okay, never mind their precious internet. Okay, in a lot of cases, because the whole island has still got issues. All right, so a lot of these people are still dealing with a lack of necessity. Okay, like even though it's a paid service or whatever, say electricity or whatever else, there are people that still don't have that there. All right, there are people who haven't had their shit rebuilt because the stuff that was sent there to rebuild their homes, the government officials fucking took and put into warehouses and fucking pocketed the money and sold it on the black market and did a bunch of crooked shit. Okay, that ain't on Trump. Okay, that is on them. But you see, you can't admit that because they're Democrats and, oh, heaven forbid, I call out a Democrat. Even though you're a fucking commie piece of shit. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy raged through 10 states, downing 1 in 4 cell towers and leaving people with no means to communicate. As a result of the hurricane, more than 8.5 million people in 21 states had no power. And the internet was actually fine because it's designed to take a nuclear fucking blast. Internet access and communications infrastructure are critical to the decade of the Green New Deal. Yes, because they're going to be used as a means to try to control the people and brainwash them into buying into the Green New Deal. So that's why it is. But anyway, so to the decade of the Green New Deal, a 10-year nationwide mobilization centered around justice and equity, during which climate change will be factored into virtually every area of policy. So basically, it has nothing to do with fucking the environment. Well, actually, it does have to do with fucking the environment, as in bending it over and anally raping it, not to exploit it per se, but except for the fact of exploiting it with the people and scaring them. Okay, so you're basically going to push this justice and equity crap, and it's just going to have a hint of the environment in it. Yeah, okay. I mean, you got Greta admitting it. You've got him admitting it. You've got Ocasio-Cortez admitting it. The Green New Deal has nothing to do with the environment. It's about a fucking takeover of the infrastructure and society at large. With our $150 billion investment in resilient, affordable, publicly owned broadband infrastructure, we will ensure that communities stay connected during natural disasters. This communications infrastructure will ensure first responders and communities are ready to deal with the worst climate emergencies. Oh no, the climate emergencies! The horror! The horror! Asshole. They've got radio. They don't need the fucking internet. They're not... Oh my God. First responders can't use the internet like you think, you dumb shits. They need radios. Two-way radios. Don't need the internet. They need two-way radios, Bernie. But you're too stupid to realize that. Oh, wait a minute. No, you think people are too stupid to realize that. Although I think you personally are too stupid. But the people who are writing this, they know this. This is complete horseshit. As President Bernie will perform a full review of post-disaster responses to the communications crisis in Puerto Rico and ensure broadband telecommunication services are swiftly restored. Okay, it's years after the fact, but all right. Ensure any new broadband infrastructure is resilient to the effects of climate change. Hello? Can take a nuclear fucking explosion. You can literally take and nuke this whole planet. Wipe out like 95% of the internet, and it will still function. That's a fact. It's actually more than 95%, I think. But yeah, you can nuke the shit out of it and it will survive. And you think climate change is going to fuck it up? Oh, no, you're trying to fearmonger. Oh, climate change. Jesus Christ. Require large private internet service providers to complete a broadband resiliency review. Blind leading, that's self-governing, but they can self-govern their shit, but hey, whatever. Implement Dig Once policies to build dedicated fiber conduits with all road construction and improvement projects. So they're basically going to stuck fiber optics in areas where there's no need for fiber optics and shit like that, just in case in the future we just might need possibly. So what if it's 30 years down the road and the pavement's already been ripped up twice? We're going to put it in now. Ensuring disasters are not used by corporations to reap taxpayer-subsidized profits, and that all rebuilding funding goes to restoring service and improving resiliency. So basically, what they're saying here with Bernie's plan, is if a company goes in to do the repairs after, say, a natural disaster, all right, they can't profit from it. This worked really well with Medicare, you dumb shit, and you want to give Medicare for all. There are doctors out there, a shit ton of them, the majority of them, the overwhelming majority, who will not accept Medicare because you idiots want to go, well, this is how much a procedure costs. And in reality, it costs this much, and they can't take the loss. Well, this is exactly what they want these companies to do, that are going to come in and fix the fucking infrastructure of broadband internet after a natural disaster. They're going to do it and not be able to, make a profit from it. They're not in business to make money. They're in business to do what Bernie wants them to do at a loss. That's that clearly saying, they might be able to break even if they're lucky, but they're not going to make a profit. Not even a small one. Build a modern smart grid to ensure we have resilient, secure, and intelligent electrical grid system that is capable of managing high amounts of renewable energy, maximizing efficiency, and keeping our internet services up and running during the worst climate emergencies. Now, what's really fucking scary about this, and I'm going to say this and we're going to end it because I'm at an hour and a half here and I really need to get done with this last part here, is they want to put in the smart grid. Every government paper on the smart grid, from DARPA, from other agencies, whatever the case may be, the intent of the smart grid is going to be used, for data transfer, all right? But it's going to be like, as in more so spying on you, because a good example, and it's now come out, you've got with the smart appliances. You know, that they're spying on their owners, like what they're consuming and stuff like that, because you don't pay attention to these user end agreements. So, you know, if you've got a smart fridge and you run low on something, they're tracking what you've got in your fridge. If it's one of those ones that keeps track of all your stuff, you know, you scan the barcodes, whatever else, and it tells you got it, keeps an eye on your milk, whatever else, they get the cameras in them, they're tracking that shit. All right? You don't think that this electrical grid system that the government wants, that Bernie wants, isn't going to be used to spy on Americans? Bullshit. He's a sleazy little commie scumbag. And if you go against the left bullshit, if you go against the Green New Deal, if you go against their shit, this is a government takeover of the internet. Do you honestly think, when they've literally got this thing in, the stipulation in there where they're going to be working with these racial, you know, these groups that go, oh, well, hate speech, you know, you don't think that they're going to be censoring people? Bullshit. This is about a takeover of the internet, and that's what it will be used for. Bernie isn't for free speech. Bernie wants to control the internet, okay, and he wants to use it to buy the votes of the poor. He wants to those welfare collecting shitbags who don't want to get a fucking job, okay, that Bernie's going, oh, well, Trump is trying to take away SNAP from all these people who can't even fucking meet their minimum requirement to go look for a job 20 fucking hours a week, okay? All you got to do is just spend 20 hours a week filling out applications and shit to keep getting your free fucking food stamps. And these people don't want to do it. So Trump's like, you don't want to do that? Fuck you. You ain't getting them. See, Bernie wants those type of people. He wants those people dependent on the government. He wants those people that need the free internet. He wants them. This is about a takeover. This is about controlling that voting bloc. This is a sleazy, scummy, shifty situation here. And that's why I read through all this. And I hope that if you stuck it to this point, you see everything that I'm pointing out here. And you go, holy shit, this is some scary fucking thing that Bernie's trying to pull here. Because this is literally about taking over the internet and just having those corporations, okay, at no profit for them, working as extensions of the government. He wants full control. And when a commie wants full control, you know, Bernie can say all he wants. I'm a democratic socialist. I tell you I'm a democratic socialist. He's not. He's a fucking commie. And when a commie wants to take away, you know, your ability to communicate or control the way you want to communicate, it's never going to end well. Now, I don't see him becoming president because, you know, as things are going so far, it looks like Trump's got a very good chance of just, you know, winning again. And I hope that's the case, because if Bernie happens to win, this is the fucking shit that we're getting. We're getting a government-controlled and run internet. Run by that little commie fuck. It ain't going to be good. Anyway, I want to apologize for my language. I know it got a little colorful in that, and this is really long. But if you made it this far, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate it. I'm just going to leave things here at this point. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.